Well, good morning. This is Linda from North Central Texas. I had someone ask me why I didn't make a video on how to make the tulle covers to go over my Jolly Green tree collards. So I was going to get on here this morning while I drink me a cup of coffee and show you how to do that. First of all, don't throw your lids away from your totes. And I don't have that camera adjusted quite right. There, might be a little bit better. Always keep the lids to your totes, because you can use the lids and you can use the square insert of plastic right here. And it's kind of hard to cut. I've already cut a hole through it to get my scissors started. I've got some heavy duty scissors that I'm going to try to cut this with. Like I said, it's not easy. And I may have to cut it some more with a knife. Oops, that's not that one. May have to cut it a little bit more with the knife before I can cut it with that scissors. It's not going to be cooperating today because it's kind of cold. This plastic has been out in the shed all night. So it's just a little bit cold on me. Sorry about that. I don't like getting sale calls when I'm trying to do a video. It might be even easier to cut it out with the scissors, with the knife. See if I can brace it on the chair here without cutting my chair. And it's not wanting to go straight. Somebody stronger than me would have an easier job in cutting this than I do, so. And I just bring it to the edge of the table to cut it. That way the knife is going down to the edge, off the table and not on the table. It doesn't cut very straight. Not going straight at all. But if you got a husband around or some significant other that has stronger muscles than you do, then they could probably cut it for you with no problem. don't have much strength in my hands, my wrists, my arms, so. And we're going to keep this, the outer piece, because later on you might want to cover that with tulle and put it over one of your totes. Excuse me. First of all, we need to get bands long enough to go all the way around the outside of our bucket. And you want it kind of loosely around there because you're going to be slipping it up and down off the top of the bucket. I need to cut me some more strips. Needs at least one more for the band to go around there. And they don't have to be real wide, maybe about 1 inch. You got an old pair of scissors or some heavy-duty scissors like I do, you can use them, or anything that you can cut something with that's pretty sturdy. And I'm just cutting the ends a little bit so they're not not so raggedy. And I got a stapler, and I forgot to get my pliers. I taped the other one because I didn't have a stapler, but I went and bought a stapler. And all you do it for, well, and the staple I got is one that's got a handle. So all you do is pull on that handle, close it, and it pops the staple right in there. Now, it doesn't turn it under like most staplers do on the bottom. So what I did was take 4 or 5 newspapers, rolled them up, and I've made almost 1 inch thick paper board. Now you can use a wooden board to keep it from going into your table or whatever you're working on. I found though that if you use the paper, that it's a lot easier to pull out. Because you got the edges of them sticking out now. So what I'm going to do is just take my pliers and bend them over. And then they'll look just like a regular staple going through there. I can't use a regular staple gun. You've got to get at least a light duty one or a heavy duty staple gun to do this. A regular staple gun, it won't work. I mean, the staples will bend every time. So you're not helping yourself at all if you try to use a regular staple gun, because it's not going to work. Take my word for it. I was just thinking of my hands and my strength when I bought the stapler. You can get a light duty stapler starting at like $9 or $10 to $11, $12, $15 and up. I started to get the one for $10, or yeah, it was about $10. But it didn't have that handle. It wasn't as easy to use. So, and just measure it around. And remember, you want it loose enough that you can pick it up and down fairly easy. And what I ended up doing with mine, and I didn't even realize I did it, I made it tight enough. Well, this one's not going to cooperate like the other one did. Just have to work with it, measure it around till you get it the length you need it, just so it goes over the bucket. You don't want it too big, and you don't want it too small either. And then you can kind of work with this thing. To get your other staples in there. And that didn't exactly go in like I wanted to, but it's in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just bend your staples over. It was a whole lot easier making it with the tape that I used. See, it goes over it and it just kind of sits there. That's the way you want it. Make sure you get your staples bent down good, because if you don't, they'll stick you. And I'm probably going to use some tape just to hold the tool on there when I go to put that on. And you can use any kind of tape. You know, I've got some duct tape right there. Get it up there since I'm going to be using it. Oh my, that's some good coffee this morning. And now you need 4 strips. And these strips are going to go make your dome. You can make it as tall or as short as you want. It's up to you. I made mine a little bit taller than really I had to. But I did that for future use. I said, well, if I plant something tall and it needs a cover, that'll be tall enough to take care of it. If I want to leave it on the tree collard until it gets up that tall, then I can. I'd rather have it too big than too small. But you'll need 4 strips. And you can see I'm not cutting very wide. This is strong enough plastic that you don't need a real wide strip. But you do need 4. Well, that's the way I made the ones out there anyway. Whew, I'm glad I don't have to make too many of those, because even using that scissor, it gets to you. But you can see how this staple gun is so much easier than having one that you got to hit on the top of or something like that. I like for my machines to work for me. But just get them bent over so you don't stick your fingers with them. And I think I use 3/8 inch. And then you just put them over the top like that. And I don't measure, or I haven't measured much. Wasn't down on it good enough. One of my staples, 2 of them didn't go through good. Let's take that one out and pop another one in there. But you can see how this roll of newspaper really helps. And with my weak hands, this stapler, oh, it is just well worth the $11 I spent for it. I mean, the one without that nice handle was $10. So I figured, well, why not? If I'm going to spend the money to buy it anyway, why not go ahead and get the better one? The one that I don't have to work as hard to use. So that's what I did. I got the one that I could use the easiest. And then later on, if I need to use it for other projects, I'll have that heavy-duty staple. Or it's a lightweight staple, but compared to just a regular staple, that is a heavy-duty staple. Heavy-duty staple gun. Just put it down. Staple it on. But it pulls up fairly easy when you got it on that cardboard. I tried just putting it on a board outside. And oh my God. I mean, I got it pulled out, but it was a little bit hard. And sometimes I would bend my staples trying to get it pulled up out of the board. So I came in here and I first put it on a stack of magazines. And I said, well, that works a lot better because you can pull the staples up out of it easier. So then I had a bunch of newspapers because I save all my newspapers to put in my compost. See, it's just that easy. Just staple it right on there. Now the first 2 I made, like I said, I did use Gorilla Tape or duct tape. And they would have held quite a while with that. But since I went ahead and bought the stapler, I went out there and I went ahead and went over it and stapled it all with the staples, since I already had it. So I mean, they're not that difficult to make as long as you got a decent pair of scissors or a good sharp knife to cut with. You know, having the right equipment to do stuff with is the key to a lot of things. And I really couldn't afford to spend the money on a stapler, but I said, well, as many projects as I'm going to be using it for, I need to go ahead and get one. And I put staples in the top of my other ones, but you don't really have to. It's up to you. I love gardening, and I guess if you're watching my videos, I mean, that's the reason I say I have bloopers in a lot of my videos, because you see my mistakes as well as my things that work out right. Because I'm human just like everybody else, and from time to time I'm going to make a mistake. But that's how you learn, is from your mistakes. And it does help to press down on the top of the stapler to make sure that the staples go in far enough. Because if you don't apply a little bit of pressure, sometimes the staples don't go through all the way. I mean, they go through, but they'll kind of stick up on the top side. And you can get the longer staple. It's up to you. I think they come in 3 different sizes. I got the 3/8 staple. They come in a box like this. And they were only like $2.50, something like that. And you get 1,000 staples in there. So 1,000 staples is going to last me quite a while. You can get shorter ones and you can get a little bit longer ones. But I went with the middle size because I wasn't sure, you know, which one would work the best. And like I said, you can go ahead and put a staple through that if you want to. And I might do that just to make sure it stays where I want it to. And it was so much easier stapling this when it was taped. But it's not difficult. I mean, it still will. It will still staple. And like I said, I just put those in there to kind of hold it in place. Because they barely do go all the way through. But that's just going to keep it from sliding back and forth. And then I take my tool. And this is the length weight of it. Because I bought mine, I ordered it online from a place that you could order just bolts of Tulle. And it was only like $10 for the whole 40 or 50 foot roll of it. And I bought it last year because I was trying to keep critters out of my vegetables. I had gotten beautiful squash growing and zucchini, but I never was able to harvest any because some animal ate it off of the vine as fast as they would grow. So now one end even, I take a tie wrap, just a little tie wrap that you could get off of bread, like a loaf of bread or any type of a metal tie wrap. This one's kind of strong, and I think it did come off of my bread. And just fasten it around the top really tight. And the width of it is what goes around this. Okay, where's the end? But you can see as big as I made it, the width of it is just perfect to go around the outside of this thing. And then you just pull it over and lap it. And then get this side to lap over the top. I mean, you don't have to secure it or fasten it or anything. Just lay it on the top. And I've got it so my little tie is going to be right at the top. And see, I cut it too long. I just grabbed it and cut it this morning. I wasn't paying attention really to how long it was, but it doesn't need to be that long. So you might want to go around and get my good scissors. And then just cut some of the tulle off, because you don't need all of that to staple onto the bottom. Just cut it so you got about 1 inch or so that you can turn over the bottom. And then you can just kind of roll it up. It takes a little while to do it. I mean, like anything, you know. It takes time, but it's not that difficult. If you can see that, I don't know. I kind of rolled it under, hemmed it over, and then just put the staples right on top of it. Now with the other one, like I said, I put tape on it. And that held it pretty good, you know, for me to... It takes you longer, I think, to bend your staples down than it does to actually make the thing. And this time all your staples are pointed outside so they don't interfere with you putting this over your bucket. And you don't have to put as many staples in it as I do. That's up to you. I'm just the kind of person that if I'm going to do something, I want it to look good. Or I don't want to mess with it. So I might spend a little bit more time than most people would just on the way it looks. And I may be out of staples. I am. I didn't have very many in the gun. But I figure it's going to be in my yard, you know. So I take an extra few minutes just to make it look decent. And you can go around with tape, excuse me, with tape. You know, before you staple it, you can tape it down if that works easier for you. Like I said, when I stapled the other two last night after I got the stapler, they were real easy to staple because everything was put together. It was held in place. And all I had to do was go around and staple it. Yeah, and I have to try to keep them bent down or I'll end up sticking my fingers with them. Yeah, duct tape and Gorilla Tape is an amazing thing, I tell you. I can't tell you how many things I've used that tape for. And it works wonderful. Works wonderful indeed. And it does snag on there, so you have to be careful because tulle is real easy to tear. If you've ever worked with tulle, you know. It doesn't take much to put a hole in it. But I don't think the bugs are going to be strong enough to put a hole in it. And I've been working on my roses that I've had out there in those totes to root. I realized that the cuttings that I put in there to begin with really were not strong enough. The cuttings were too little. They needed to be a little bit more big around, about the size of your finger, or your little finger at least. And some of mine were really small. So that's one reason they just kind of dried up to begin with. It's because of the fact that they just were not big enough to begin with. So I think cutting the bigger cuttings the way I did, that I've got in there now. And like I said, you know, they do need a little bit of air, so you can open the little lids to the side so they can get air in there and some of the moisture can escape. I went ahead and closed it the first couple of days I had them out there. And the only problem with that is it was still too hot. And there was too much moisture in there. And it basically cooked the rose cuttings that I had in there. Forget about my coffee. Letting it get cold on me. I know people drink iced coffee, but I've never been one to care for iced coffee. I mean, I guess it's good. I mean, it's all good, but usually if I drink coffee, I want it to be hot. Just need a few more around here. I keep watching my camera because I don't want it to cut off with me and me not know it. But see, you can make these for any size pot. Just start with your band around the top of your pot or your bucket. And go from there. Yeah, this is so much easier than having to slam a stapler down or... Well, in fact, a regular staple, they're not even going to go through this plastic. They will bend. They will bend before they go through the plastic. And pliers didn't want to cooperate right there. But there you go. Might be kind of wicky-wonky. It's not perfectly straight when you first make them. Well, let's see if I can put this down here. Maybe you can see. But it goes right down on the top of the bucket. And see, if you get it just the right amount, it will sit right there on that lip. There's a little lip. There's a lip right there, right where your handle starts. And if you get it cut just the right length, it will sit right on that if you don't push it down like I just did. But it'll kind of sit right there. And there is your shelter for your plant that you want to use. Let's see if I can get that up there just a little bit. But there's your dome. Custom made for your bucket. And like I said, it comes right off. And unless you have to get in to do something to the plant or anything like that, you don't even have to take it off. You can leave it there until the plant doesn't need it anymore. And the rain goes right through it. So you don't have to worry about your plant not getting rainwater. It's sitting right out there. The rain goes right through there. So there you go. Yeah, and there's ways that you can fix them for these tops, the tote tops. I mean, you can fix them so they can stand up like this, or just fix a flat one across the top. It depends on what you need it for, what you got in your pot. See if I've got enough time on this. I don't know. It's probably going to cut off with me, so I'll wait. I was going to take you out there and show you my rose cuttings that I've done. I mean, all you got to do in those totes, those clear totes, to use them as a planter. Just like I said, you know, using the clear Coke bottle or Pepsi bottle as a dome over your cutting. They have a hole in the top, so you don't want the lid on it. You want a little bit of that steam or air to be able to circulate out or in. Same way with the totes. I made the mistake of I clipped the lids on and left them. And I was forgetting that you have to leave a little gap. So all you got to do is take your lid off, clip your handles up that you normally clip your lid shut with, and then lay your lid on top of that. And you can slide it over a little bit so you got a little bit of an air gap down the length of the lid. And that should be enough to let some of that heat get out of there and not cook your plant or cook your cuttings. I've got my lids completely off right now because it's a warm day and there's enough moisture in my totes that I figured it wouldn't matter. But I can take you out here and show you if my camera doesn't cut off. Make it real quick. But if you'll see, I've got, I don't know if I'm showing you. I've got air gaps right here. So some of that moisture can get out, or some of the heat can, on each side. And then if they start getting too dried out, you can always cover it completely back up. Because cuttings don't need to be in the direct sun, and I've tried to move mine over toward the middle so they're not in the direct sun. And I went ahead and fixed one here that's 2 white rose or yellow roses, and this is a knockout rose. I'm going to see how they work compared to the totes over here. And I got one down here. It's in a little bottle, but as soon as I get a bigger Coke bottle, I'll replace it with the bigger one. So, we'll see what happens with my rose cuttings. And with that, I'm going to wish you a farewell today. Y'all have a blessed day. Like, share, and subscribe to my videos. And we'll see you on the next one.